Welcome to Making Progress, a podcast where we discuss and discover what it means to find success in the journey of making change. I'm your host, Myra Reneé.
On today's episode of Making Progress, Myra sits down with 5 incredible women for a very special episode called Heels and Feels that was filmed in front of a live audience. This panel discussion of 5 successful single Black women talk about redefining success, navigating predominantly white spaces, and what it really means to show up authentically in Madison, Wisconsin. This is the 2-part special of our panel discussion, so buckle up. Let's dive right in.
Thank you so much, ladies, for coming. I have today Afra Smith, who is the founder and CEO of the Melanin Project, Delonda Jackson, the Director of Operations at Anesis Therapy, Bobby Briggs, who is a community mental health outreach specialist and psychotherapist, and Vanessa Statham, who is the CCS Program Director and a psychotherapist as well, and Keena Atkinson, who is the founder and CEO of Ruji Wellness. We talked about this earlier before we started recording around kind of like how our generation is very different than like the generation before us and the generation after us when it comes to relationships and like quote unquote gender roles and things like that. So I think, our generation really has probably, I don't know, is my guess, a harder time because I think we're trying to change those norms. Yeah. And I think I look at like my oldest daughter and like the generation, like even like my other kids, her younger siblings, and how different they think and they approach life. And, just even like, this whole dating courting thing wouldn't even be like they have so much open communication, information, and knowledge around relationships, sexuality, like that's another area I think like, we probably grew up not really like hearing about sexuality. And, now it's like, kids, my daughters, they have like the little flow apps and they have like, everything is at their fingertips of like knowledge and understanding around their needs. And I don't know if like, hopefully men catch up to that. I think in some ways I've noticed there is a change, but I don't know. I just think our generation is still, we kind of struggle with these like gender norms. And then what ends up happening sometimes is I think as women, we end up, because we're in that in between, we end up doing it all. And so like what you were talking about, like, okay, maybe it was like normal. The norm was for those relationships in your grandparents' day was, the woman was staying home. And then now it's like, okay, we're working, but we're also doing all the housework and we're taking care of the kids and like, no, thank you.
Literally, I know of people who have gone home and they're like, I went home, my husband's there with the kids, and they're just waiting for me to have dinner made. And I'm like, no. And so like hearing those stories, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, maybe marriage has never been for me. But it's really not that, because I've seen a balanced relationship, a balanced marriage. But I also see people who are like, I'm not doing this anymore.
So here's some research goes back and forth. So there's some research that says that, when you're married, you have like a longer, kind of healthier life or whatever, right? And then there's like some research that talks about like women tend to live longer and happier when they're single.
I can see that.
So there's like two different. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that women, I'll say what I see, all right? If heart attacks is one of the leading causes of death in women, in Black women. And one of the things that causes heart attacks is chronic stress. And so I think if a woman is constantly doing everything, superwoman, then I'm not surprised. Especially if you have a woman who is doing all of her own thing, and then like what you were saying earlier, carrying all the emotional load and whatnot, then how is that being counteracted? Where is the harmony, like you said, or the balance? Where is that getting picked up? you know? And when you were talking, one thing that came to my mind that I remembered, and I think when you were talking, I was like, I've been single for like almost a year. And when I pay attention, I'm like, you know what? I'll probably only be feeling lonely for maybe like 2 hours, like once a month. Okay? Probably when I'm ovulating. All right? I only like if I give it context, and if I ever feel lonely, then it's only for a very short amount of time. And I appreciate and I enjoy companionship. But then I also look at when you were saying like, oh, you get in your 40s and you see people, you know, divorcing and things like that. And I was saying like, I don't envy. There's not a single relationship that I envy, because I know if whatever I see, I'm only seeing a little bit of it. I know relationships takes work. I know, like, again, being someone who's been a single mama for 21 years, I know how to, you know, like if I'm talking to somebody and they say, well, I had a long day at work, I had a hard day. I had a long day too. I have hard days too. So I'm supposed to, so where's the give and the take? And so since I have done everything, right? Because maybe it's somebody who only has their kids part of the time. I got my kids 100% of the time. All right. So it's like if I work, and I wear a lot of hats because I run multiple companies. I work, I cook. And I cook. We don't hardly eat frozen food, so I prepare all of our meals. And if I'm not cooking the food, I'm teaching my children how to cook. I'm picking up, my children have not caught a bus in 10 years. So my youngest child has never caught the bus. So I'm dropping off and picking up. I'm scheduling doctor's appointments. I'm navigating the track practices. My son had track today. Now, I didn't take him to track, but I still had to coordinate and facilitate. All right. I'm also then still being social. I'm also still making sure to remember everybody's birthdays. I'm also then doing this and I also got to clean up the house, do the laundry. If I'm not cooking the food, I'm still shopping for the groceries and buying them. Yes. So if I know, so then it's like I do all of those things and I really be happy and peaceful, and I only feel lonely for like 2 hours out of the month. Yeah. Well, I don't have to deal with this stress. I don't have to deal with this lack of emotional intelligence. I don't have to deal with this inconsistency. I don't have to deal with this. I can do bad by myself, but really I'm doing good. And so if you think about a woman, like probably the bad thing was for women to figure out how to manage all these things, because a lot of the wholeness and the love or the companionship and the community and the joy is in my friendships with my girls. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like I look forward to our girls' time, you know? And I love celebrating my girls, and they celebrate me too. And they don't celebrate me and say, well, I had a really bad, stressful day today, and how come you didn't pick up the toys? I tell my friends, don't you dare apologize to me for your car being messy, or don't you dare don't tell me you love me and then tell me, sorry, my house is a mess when I walk over. You better not apologize for your house being a mess. Okay, so, you know, for me, it's like stress. I'd be like, dang, like, sounds nice to be cuffed up and committed, but then it also, you know, like I come home and when my day is done, it's done. I don't have to then be like, okay, now let me cater to my grown-up baby. I mean, my man.
You said it right there. You said it right there for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think that's what Alfred was saying too. Like in partnership, that you want a place where you can be soft. Right. You know, so it's like if someone's not bringing that, then what are you bringing?
I think that transcends like romantic relationships too, because a lot of these tools, I think we romanticize romantic relationships, right? Like we put such a pedestal on like marriage or that kind of love, but we don't look at like, hey, if you're not doing this in your friendships, if you're not doing this in your family relationships, how you expecting that you gonna just wake up and do this in your romantic relationships? Like, you're not setting those boundaries with your friends. You're not figuring out how to have those conversations. You're mothering, you're being third parents and stuff to everybody. You gonna carry that. And to that point, and why I was like, yes, preach on that point, is like, that's also what I've encountered in this conversation and question around like singleness in Madison, but singleness or dating period, is there's so many unhealed people out here. There are so many unhealed people. And so I'm grateful that I did not have like the typical normal experience, because I really got to learn myself in so many ways. Like, and that has been the truest gift and truest treasure. And so now if I am to go into a relationship, I feel better prepared. Not that I'll be 100% ready for everything, because again, like, I don't know what I'm going to encounter fully, but I know myself well enough now that I feel able to stand and to recognize when it's time to walk away or when it's time to change, when you're not going to be my, no, I have no children. I have a cat. That is it. And you're not going to be that child. No. We're partners. I'm not your mother. And so, yeah, retweet all that.
I love that. Okay, so for younger women that might be watching, what advice or what thing would you want to tell people? Or even like, what would you want to tell your younger self?
I think what I would tell my younger self would be to work on and learn how to love me first. Because I think sometimes when you're choosing partners, or when you're choosing initiatives, and we talk a lot about a lot of that, you're doing things for other people, and that becomes your center of happiness. So you have to learn how to love you, and when you learn how to love you, then you're doing things for your benefit. You know, obviously when you have children, that shifts, but I think for me it would be to learn to love me so much that I learned to establish boundaries with family, with friends, with people that I'm dating. So that I'm not getting involved in dating people and trying to love them through their trauma versus them working on their trauma and us working a healing journey together. Me going back to get all this education because I'm appeasing a system that says that's what I need to do to be successful, when it only landed me in debt and impacted my mental health, mental and emotional health. So I think a lot of those things, I'm like, I didn't love myself. I wasn't on a healing journey. I was just doing what society was telling me that I should do. It's not okay to love women. It's not okay to say no, to walk in a way where you're just pleasing everyone else except yourself. But today I can truly say that I'm on a journey of just loving me to the best of my ability. I'm still learning things, right? I'm still unlearning things, but I think that's what I would say. Learn to love yourself in every facet of it, from your body, everything about yourself.
Retweet that, because I would say the same thing. Yeah, I would just, the way that I would tell myself, I would give myself my favorite quote that I love and put on everything now to myself at that time, which is caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. Shout out Audre Lorde, another queer Black woman out here who was popping and doing the dang thing. And it was because of that quote that made me start thinking about what loving yourself truly looked like, because I thought I loved myself, but I didn't. I tolerated myself. I tolerated a vision of myself that everybody else told me to tolerate. But to have given myself that quote then, and not even just to go back and just to say that one thing and then come back to the future, I would love to stay with myself to mentor me as well, because I needed that nourishment. I didn't have it in the house. And as much as I would be like, challenge your mama to tell you her stories, she didn't have the tools either. She didn't have it. She doesn't. She's still working and I see it actively now in her age today. She didn't have the tools either. So having these tools now, I would love to go back and mentor myself in that way and what self-love actually looks like.
I like the self-love. I agree with that. And then I also think that, finding where you need to heal. Because when we grow up, we leave with a lot of wounds that we don't even know our wounds until we get out into the world and we start to put the pieces together to see that the way that I grew up wasn't necessarily normal. Everybody doesn't have these type of experiences and things like that. And then, am I a wounded baby bird? Because wounded baby birds will find other wounded baby birds, and then we'll try to go be wounded baby birds together.
Well, I love to ask this question to all my guests is how would you define making progress?
I look at making progress. I think a little uniquely. I no longer gravitate towards like vanity, like things that just are about visibility, because I feel like after a certain while it gets kind of old and stale and it runs out. It's like retail therapy, right? You get the thing and then it's over with. So I think progress for me is I'm healing. I'm like learning new parts of myself. I'm letting go of things. I'm still working through things, or, you know, like I think sometimes me isolating, I understand the reason why I'm doing it. It may not 100% be healthy, but I also need to like get out into the world to face some of these things that are causing these periods of isolation too. So really figuring out how like to work through those things. So I think progress to me is I'm on this like healing journey. I'm continuously trying to just not fix myself. I don't want to say fix myself. I'm just being aware of maybe something that I'm doing that I need to acknowledge, and then I need to figure out how to work on that. So that to me is progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for me, making progress is having the ability to self-reflect. Because a lot of times we find ourselves criticizing our current selves, but not realizing what we currently are is what we asked for 10 years ago. And we don't really get to, you don't recognize that until you self-reflect. I was thinking about that just not too long ago, and I was just going through it, just like, oh my gosh, life is so hard. You know, you have those days. And looking at it, I was like, no, I asked for everything that I have. And I am so grateful. And I thank God every single day. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I just didn't have that, take that moment to self-reflect, to see how far I've come, because I can't appreciate the progress if I don't recognize it. And just really taking that time to self-reflect.
I would add, because just retweet. Again, I feel like if I was just to answer this question by myself, I would have said exactly what was already said by Afra and Delonda. But just to add to, because I feel like this is a question where we're building upon this definition, I would add celebration. I would add celebration, celebrating every little step that you take, and every time that you recognized when you needed to sit down. Because sometimes, like, the best progress you can make is sitting your black ass down. That is sometimes the best progress you can make. I need to go to sleep. I need to take a breather. I need to go for a walk, like all of that. And so the word that's coming to mind is both of those is discernment, like building that discernment to be able to recognize when I need to take whatever big leap or little step forward, but also when I need to sit down.
Yes. Well, snaps on everybody. And then I just want to add, I just think progress is, for me, getting better at handling the hard stuff. Nothing's going to get easier going forward. It's like, I just got to get better about managing it.
I think for me, I would say making progress, I see it as going from being in clouds and then coming through the clouds and into clarity, to where it's clear. And this is like not something that only happens once, but it's kind of like an ebb and a flow. I like that. So that's what I think of with making progress. Like every time that I go from cloudiness to clarity, boom.
Yes, I love that. I think that is a great way for us to end, just with that visual in our minds. Thank you all so much for joining us. Really quick, though, if there's any way anyone can follow your work, do you want to just say that really quick, a way that we can follow what you do, if you want to share?
Yeah, I'll go first. I can be found at www.themelaninproject2053.com. You can also find me on all social media platforms as Afra Smith. So thank you.
I'm at Keena SFA, KEENA SFA, on all social media, as well as www.rougie, ROUJIE wellness.com to me. Remember that Rougie stands for Ratchet Bougie. RougieWellness.com.
I love that. Thank you so much.
I only have personal social media at this time, but I don't mind sharing my Instagram because I'm okay with people following me on my personal journey. In a lot of ways, my page is private for that reason. So if you're not gonna get access, I won't let you have access. But if you would like to, test your luck and see if I'm giving you some access into me, my @ for Instagram is Bobby Not Bobby. So Bobby BOBBIE, not Bobby BOBBY, because I'm sick of people misspelling my name. So that is
I was one
name.
of those people that would do that.
It's okay. And if this your first time encountering me and stuff like that, I am not gonna bite your head off. But if it's in the email, if you've seen it or if I've spelled it to you and you still over here doing this, now I'm gonna have to fight you. But no, that is my my Instagram, and you can also find me on Facebook, Bobby M. Briggs. And yeah, I like to share like resources, mental health resources. Again, you'll see a lot of my life. Shout out to close friends, because there's parts of my life that you don't get to see, because we got boundaries around that too. But no, again, so I'm okay with sharing my personal Facebook and Instagram in that way. So yay.
I'm Vanessa, and I work at Anesis, and I don't really use social media like that, but if you want to find me, I'm at Anesis. Vanessa Statham at anesistherapy.com. Not accepting new clients.
All right. Well, thank you so much. All right. And thank you, everyone that came.
Thank you for tuning into this special live episode of Making Progress, and a huge thank you to our incredible panel, Afra, Delonda, Bobby, Vanessa, and Kina, for bringing their whole selves to the conversation. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe to Making Progress on YouTube and follow us everywhere you listen to podcasts. New episodes drop every other week. This episode was produced by Puente Creative Studios. Until next time, keep making progress.